up to yourself and like, I do so much. It was bad and I apologize. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video, the ABCs of colloquialisms, and already we are on the letter F. If you don't know, this series comes out the last Sunday of each month, and it just amazes me that we're already on F. Like, we've already been doing this series for that long. So today I have prepared 3 idioms for you all that start with the letter F. We are going to get into those. You will learn not only the idiom, the meaning, and example sentence, but I have a short little example story for you for each idiom as well. So without further ado, the very first idiom for today that starts with the letter F is fish out of water. Fish out of water. Now, this is why idioms and knowing them is so important, because if somebody were to just casually say this randomly, like, oh, I felt like a fish out of water, you would be like, what are you talking about? Like, were you dying? Like, did you not have air to breathe? I don't understand. But fish out of water is just an idiom that means someone who feels out of place. When you feel out of place, when you feel like you don't belong somewhere, we use the idiom fish out of water. You can say, I felt like a fish out of water at that party. I felt like a fish out of water at that company. So it just means you feel out of place, you feel like you shouldn't be there, you feel awkward maybe, you just feel like you do not belong. You see how that kind of correlates with the actual meaning of a fish out of water? Fish cannot survive out of water, right? For them, they literally cannot survive out of water. For humans, when we are in a situation where we feel like, I don't really belong here, we can adapt, we can survive, it's just uncomfortable. For fish, you can't. So the idiom fish out of water just means someone who feels out of place. So for an example of this, when I first went to college and I was trying to decide on what I wanted to do, I always thought that I would do something with avionics, which oddly enough, now I work with airplanes. I'm an editor and I work with airplanes. I'm not going to say the company name, but I edit airplane manuals. That's my full-time job. But when I was younger, I really wanted to work with airplanes or like travel. I thought about being a pilot. I thought about being a flight attendant. I thought about a million different things, but I decided on international business. And I was like, I won't really work with airplanes, but I'll be on a lot of airplanes traveling around. And I literally went to the first day of classes. Like, I had already graduated with my associate's degree. So I already had 2 years of college under my belt, and I was just focusing on my bachelor's degree. So I went to my guidance counselor at my school and I was like, hey, I want to do international business. And they're like, boom, this is what you got to do to accomplish that. And I'm like, thank you very much. Sign up for my classes, go to school the very first day. And I'm like sitting in my classes. I'm literally in like some kind of international business, statistics, whatever, I don't even know, class. And it's just all math, like literally like math on all the boards. And I'm like, this isn't a math class, right? I don't think this is supposed to be like this much math. And for the whole hour and a half, because it was an hour and a half class, I felt like a fish out of water. I was having a panic attack. I was like, no, Carly, you cannot be doing this. This is not going to be your career. You're not going to do this for the rest of your life. No, baby. No. I got up, the first one to get up out of that class right as it was over. And I was like, I'm going back to my guidance counselor. I'm switching my major. I cannot do this. I felt like a fish out of water in that class. I did not feel comfortable. I did not feel that I belonged. I didn't feel like that was my calling for my career. You know, immediately I felt that. So of course, as you guys know, I went back, talked to my guidance counselor. I tried a few things here and there, but I ended up studying English because I knew it was something I had a passion for. I didn't want to admit it because my mom's a teacher and I know that being a teacher is not the best. If you want to get rich, you cannot make a lot of money typically from being a teacher, especially here in America. And that's unfortunate, but it's just how it is. So I didn't want to admit that I wanted to be a teacher because I was like, no, Carly, you need to get money. You need to be successful, a successful businesswoman or something. But then I was like, I love teaching, so let me just do that. And now I have an English degree. It's very versatile. I'm able to be an editor and then also teach English on the side. And it's not even really on the side. I would much rather be an editor on the side and teach English full time. But again, it comes down to money. But when I was sitting in that class, listening to the professor, just equation after equation, math, I was like, no, fish out of water here. Fish out of water experience. I was literally suffocating, panicking. I can't do this. So an example sentence for you all is, he was like a fish out of water at the fancy dinner party. He was like a fish out of water at the fancy dinner party. Fish out of water. That was just number one. We have 2 more to go over, so stick with me. All right, the second idiom that we're going to go over together today is feeling under the weather. Feeling under the weather. Now, I feel like this is a common idiom, so a lot of my advanced students or viewers might understand this idiom already. You might understand what it means because it is extremely common. But, and I don't know if I've taught it on here before. Have I taught it on YouTube before? Honestly, once you get into YouTube for like more than a year, you start to realize that you forget what you teach. And I keep track of it, but off the top of my head, I cannot remember if I've actually taught this or not. But feeling under the weather, you probably know what it means by now because it's just so common, all right? When you are feeling under the weather, it means you just feel sick or ill. You don't feel well, right? You're feeling under the weather. Now, we haven't done a
History with Carley
in a long time, and I'm not exactly 1000% sure. I'm not exactly 1000% sure the history behind this idiom, but I do think it has something to do with the fact that a lot of times when seasons change and when the weather changes, you get sick during that time. So the weather kind of comes over you, right? The seasons change and you're like, oh, it's getting the best of me. All right, yep, I got sick. So when you're feeling under the weather, it means you feel sick, you're not feeling well, maybe you have a cold or something along those lines, so you feel under the weather. So for me, every year around fall, so this time of year, typically I get sick. And then my family, we just spread it to each other. So typically one of my sons, I have 2 boys, one of them brings something home from school or something, I don't know, and they get sick, and then we get sick. We just pass it around one to another, literally from fall until March. One person in my household is sick every year. For the past few years, we just stay sick, at least one of us. This year, I'm gonna jinx myself with that. This year, knock on wood, that's me knocking, which is another expression we use, just means hopefully, when you want something to hopefully happen or hopefully not happen, we say knock on wood. Nobody has gotten severely sick this year, this fall, thus far. I know it's the end of November. Nobody's gotten sick. Let's hope it stays that way. I kind of think it's because the weather's been pretty hot this fall so far. Down here in the south, it hasn't really been super cold, so we haven't been able to get sick yet due to the weather and the changing and everything of the weather. But we haven't felt under the weather in a while, which is saying something, because when I tell you, when you have 2 kids that are school age and they go to school and they catch germs, they bring it home, and then you don't really, I work from home most days, so when I'm here, I'm not exposed to others, I'm not exposed to germs, and then my kids come home with a bunch of germs and I get sick, and they get sick, and then my husband gets sick, and then my other kid gets sick, and then I get sick again, and it just passes around. But so far this year, we haven't gotten sick, and none of us right now at the moment are feeling under the weather. Now that I put it out there in the world, we're probably gonna get sick because that's just how my life goes. But for now, we're all good. We do not feel under the weather. So an example sentence of this is, I'm feeling under the weather, so I'll stay home today. I'm feeling under the weather, so I'll stay home today. Feeling under the weather, again, just means you don't feel well. You don't feel good, you feel sick or ill. Our third and final idiom for today is fly off the handle. Fly off the handle. And I love this idiom because I think this is more of a geographical idiom. I'm pretty sure other Americans all across the US know what this idiom means. However, here in the South, it is a common idiom. You guys, I just noticed my plant here, well, here, it's a mirror. My plant is still a ghost. I never changed it back to my other plant after Halloween. So sorry, your teacher has ADHD. If you don't know what that means, here you go. I'll have my editor put it down here. I suffer from ADHD, and I just noticed that there's a ghost behind me. It's basically Christmas. I'm gonna put Christmas decorations up. I'm gonna do that after this video. Anyways, back to our regular scheduled programming. Fly off the handle is kind of a thing we say here in the South, but I'm pretty sure other Americans know what it means. It's probably used in other places all throughout the US, but it's extremely common down here in the South. And I was smiling when I said it because it's something that my mom and dad has said a lot growing up, like, Carly, don't fly off the handle, don't get angry, don't get upset, don't let it bother you, or, you know, things along that nature. So the definition of fly off the handle is to lose your temper suddenly. To lose your temper suddenly. So you get angry or very emotional and you just lose it suddenly, all of a sudden. Like, you're cool and then suddenly you fly off the handle. So an example of this is, I'm exposing myself. I was maybe acting a little bit crazy. So I was just overwhelmed. I had come back from my vacation, which was amazing, but it was 5 weeks and I had a lot of things to do. I had a lot of things to catch up on work. I had a lot of laundry to get to. My kids, I had to put them back in school and get them reacclimated to school and the routine. And of course I had to go and spend a bunch of money on groceries because we were gone for so long and we had to get new groceries and everything. And I just felt like I couldn't catch my breath. Every time oh my God, every time I thought like I accomplished something, it was like, no, there's more. No, there's more. No, there's more. And I shamefully admit that I flew off the handle at my husband because of his pants being on the floor instead of in the dirty clothes. Now, if you don't know, I have 2 boys and my husband, so a house full of boys, and I spend most of my time picking up their clothes off the floor. It's just my thing, and I pick on them a lot about it. They know they're trying to do better, and I love them regardless. But when I do laundry, I have to go through and look at the floor and find all the dirty clothes that are all over the place and put them to do the laundry. Let me know in the comments if it's only just me or if your children and husband also do the same thing. This particular day, I was trying to get up and get ready to go. I think I was going to work, or maybe I had an appointment because I recently had a lot of dental appointments. I had a root canal done, so I forgot what I was doing, but I was trying to leave and I was trying to be quiet, and I tripped over my husband's pants and I almost face planted. I fell. I almost hit myself with a doorknob. Like, the reason I fell, I caught myself, but the doorknob to the door was like this close to my face, which I just had a root canal done on my tooth. Like, maybe it was just like the same week or so, and it was really close to my face, and I just like was like, oh my gosh, he needs some milk. That is the last straw. That's gonna do it for me. And then it was like angry, like steam coming out, and I was like, I'm so tired of this. And of course my husband got an earful, but I flew off the handle a little bit. I lost my cool, I admit. We're cool now, obviously. I just said my piece and I was like, I almost died today because of your pants. Could have ruined my beautiful face. This is my money maker. All right, gotta have a good looking face out here on YouTube. So no, I'm just kidding, totally joke. No, I flew off the handle. I suddenly got very angry. I lost my temper, and I was just like, so much was built up inside of me because I was so overstimulated. I was overwhelmed. I had a lot of anxiety about things that I missed at work or that was changed while I was gone. So I had like a million things going on, and just pants being on the floor is the thing that was like, whoop, this is what's gonna do it for me. This is the cherry on top, the icing on the cake. I'm gonna go crazy now. And I flew off the handle and lost my temper suddenly out of nowhere. My husband was like, what is wrong? And I was like, you never clean up after yourself. And like, I do so much. And like, it was bad. It was bad. I admit. And my husband's editing this like now, like, oh my God, Carly, yeah, you are crazy. I was crazy that day, but I was under a lot of stress. All right, so every now and then I'm allowed to be entitled to my feelings. All right, but I did fly off the handle and I'm ashamed of it, and I apologize. It takes a lot for a person to say those things. So there you go. Do with that as you may.
To that I say amen. To that I say all right, all right, all right.
Now, the example sentence for fly off the handle is he flew off the handle when he heard the bad news. He flew off the handle when he heard the bad news. So you guys, we learned 3 idioms today that start with the letter F. We learned fish out of water, feeling under the weather, and fly off the handle. All right, so 3 idioms. I challenge you guys to use these idioms in your everyday vocabulary. Trust me, the practice does make progress. Don't just listen to me here on YouTube. Actually use what I teach you out in the real world with your friends or your colleagues or your family or whatever, and use these idioms because people will look at you like, okay, I'm impressed. Look at you knowing all these native English terms and idioms and expressions and things like that. If you did like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you want to see in the future in the comments, and I hope to see you all in the next video.